I wanted to talk about cycle of financial struggle, which is something very personal to me, and the reason why I decided to brainstorm on it. It's not that I have the best advices or that I've done the best, not even close to doing good. Is the reality of my current situation, but more so. The very reason why I need to seek the solutions. So this is my brainstorming out loud for my own benefits and for others. Hopefully that listen to this and maybe get some pointers, as I will, or I hopefully will myself. So I wrote these things down. So cycle of financial struggle. How does it really start? I know it's very something that a lot of people think about, and it's kind of a lot of the pinpointed portions at least are kind of self-explanatory, self-displaying, as everybody at one point I think goes through a financial struggle, or even if they are making ends meet, or even if they are over their budget and being able to cover it with their stabilities. I think it's still something that everybody thinks through, goes through. So I wanted to go through this. So number 1, feeling some type of void. And this is when you're struggling. 2, the need to fill the void. 3, need to purchase items for the fill-ins of the void. 4, hype and excitement from the purchase experience itself, or I should say, or the usage of the items. 5, the hype and excitement takes over some portions of the logic that you originally have, and sometimes undetectably, internally and externally. 6, considering going over the budget. And I called this one of the critical error hits. So CRH, critical error hits, or singular, critical error hit, which is one of the things, if you know that you're going through it and you look into it, it might be the very reason why you can adjust for a better situation. So critical error hit, CRH. 7, justifying the consideration of going over the budget by means of bringing up emotional comforts. And this is one of the critical shift potentials. So the critical error hit isn't directly a critical shift potential. It's actually the very reason why you might fail if it's critical error hit. But if it is critical shift potential, it's the very reason why you might be able to not just consider or reconsider your errors, but you might be able to use it for like a switch on in your brain. And by concluding it a certain way, you might be able to see the solutions directly. So I named this bringing up emotional comfort as critical shift potential, if you consider why you're doing it for the emotional comfort. So after this, 8A, denying emotional comfort by considering your financial stability need. This is also a critical shift potential, because you're denying the reason why you brought up going over the budget. And 8B, approving emotional comfort as greater than your financial stability need. This is another critical error hit, so it's CRH. CSP, critical shift potential, versus CRH, critical error hit. If it is 8A, you're denying emotional comfort, which means you're trying to bring up the shift in your behavior and your lifestyle. If 8A, try to list all the stability benefits, compare the stability benefits with emotional comfort, and conclude with all the ways why the stability leads to the long-term emotional comfort. If 8b, approving emotional comfort, look into the stresses causing the need for the emotional comfort and pinpoint them. Address the stresses and the reasons why, and work on realistic, practical, doable solutions. So the key points are the solutions are realistic, practical, and doable for you. So, and upon bringing these, I wanted to mention short-term versus long-term, shift versus error, and then I wanted to further brainstorm. I won't be able to give the conclusions or the answers to these, but they're a sort of equations, and I'm hoping I'll find them in the ways that will be realistic for me personally, because I mentioned that I struggle financially and I haven't found the solutions yet for myself personally, because I don't believe that there is a one paragraph solution for that applies to every financial solution. So when error becomes the shift, I wrote CRH for critical error. I'm so sorry. It should be CEH, critical error hit, versus critical shift potential, CSP. So CEH versus CSP. So when the error E changes to S, shift, when are those situations? What type of situations are those? When the error itself switches to the shift. And that's the first equation. And 2, when the short term, ST, is greater than the long term. If the short term is greater than the long term. The third equation is if the long term is the shift, what type of situations are these? The long term is the shift. Because sometimes I believe the short term is the shift as well. But when are the situations that the long term is the very shift you need? And also the fourth one, when are the situations where the long term is the short term error? The long term is the short term error. Because I believe sometimes when you look into the far out long term conclusions or goals, and that's the only focus you have, neglecting the short term situations might actually lead to even greater instability emotionally or actual situationally. But I do believe that emotions are actual as well. A lot of times when we have errors, it's because the stress starts out in our emotions. So I'm not saying that emotions don't count as actual situations, but I just kind of wanted to sort them out as equations. So number 1, when the error switches to the shift. Number 2, when the short term is greater than the long term. Number 3, when the long term is the very shift. And number 4, the long term is the short term error. And I wrote these as E arrow to S. Number 2, ST greater than LT. Number 3, LT equals S. Number 4, LT equals STE, short-term error. So I wanted to do those equations, and I might be following up on a podcast or not. I'm not perfectly sure yet. but I wanted to touch on these thoughts, these brainstorming that I did today. And I hope just points of them might help some people that might listen to this. Today is Saturday, January 23rd, 2021, around 1:19 p.m. in Los Angeles. I hope you guys have a great day.